Hello, everyone, and welcome to the March 14th Product Analytics Sync, the APAC American edition. That we also have our lone representative from Europe as well. So glad to have you. We'll go ahead and get started then with the build board. Hopefully everyone can see my screen, and we'll get right away with that. So first up, an open issue probably needs a bit more definition, but we've got logging as something we want to focus on for infrastructure as we approach our first alpha customer. Max, you've done some work around like alerts and monitoring. Anything you kind of want to speak to here?
Yeah, so it's not, as you say, it's not super well defined right now, but it was more a case of figuring out what we can do. So yeah, standard out logging for all of our Kubernetes pods is kind of working. So if we do have problems, we can go and look at the actual logs in Google Console. I've set up a couple of monitoring alerts, so high CPU usage or unexpected restarts of Kubernetes pods will show up in the new infra alerts channel in Slack. So far, that's shown a couple of sort of slightly very, very short-lived spikes in CPU usage in ClickHouse, but nothing of any major concern, really. The next step is to see if we can get the standard out logs into our standard Elasticsearch Kibana sort of setup. I'm not sure how to do that yet, but that's the next step.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I need to do a bit more work on defining it. So for those that aren't aware, we use Elasticsearch logs-Kibana, or I think we also might use FluentD. I'm not really sure, actually, in some cases. But basically, just a way for us to actually push those logs into a central location so that we can report on them, especially because in some cases when pods disappear and the logs disappear with it, it's hard to kind of keep track of everything. So it'd be good to have that ready in terms of how infrastructure at GitLab would normally expect these services to be able to log. So I'll try to work on adding a bit more in terms of definition of done so that we can at least see if we need to separate that out and break that out into multiple milestones and things like that. But yeah, awesome. Just opening up design, making sure we're not missing anything. These two need an assignee, and Kevin Kamali is not online, so we can go ahead and probably just go past this and see where we can get support when there's capacity. We have an issue for removing product analytics specific dashboard listing, which I believe is no longer blocked since we've just merged in a lot of that shared listing stuff, but we can, I'll follow up on that async with Rob. There's nothing in ready for development, which is great considering we were approaching 15.11. And then for InDev, we've got the blog post about the product analytics internal preview. Sam, anything you want to call out here?
Just like to give a shout out to James for putting a really good video demo of that together. Otherwise, it's in review with legal right now, so probably going to need to make some edits, but should be good to go soon.
Great. All right, and then we've also got the add product analytics application setting for collector host. Doesn't look like we've had a recent update from Halil, so I guess we can just
that's in my court. He passed it to me for maintain review earlier when I had one comment, which I've not responded to, but I think I'll be merging it tomorrow.
All right, then I will go ahead and add that to in review.
Oh, please, yeah, thanks.
We've got a backend issue for adding an API to retrieve the state of the project analytics stack. Alan, this is assigned to you. Is there anything you'd like to call out for this issue?
This one is actually in review. I've updated the status. It should be getting merged today.
Awesome. Great. I don't think Tim's on the call, and we have an add dashboard button, which I think has been merged, but you can follow up on that. And then we've got a follow-up for adding a feature spec for the dashboard's visualization designer. Oh, and you have this issue. Is there anything you'd like to call out for this one?
Not really. It's in progress.
Sounds good. Moving on to in review, you've also got the column chart issue. Anything here?
Yeah, that one is in the hopefully final stages of maintainer review, so it should be going through in the next few days.
Awesome. Well, they're great to use, and I think we can probably throw funnels at that as well in terms of visualizing that. I've got the next one. I haven't been able to get to this one. I closed the other ones, which I'll speak to in the close column, but still need to put together the production change request for infrastructure to be able to connect these two environments. One thing that's hanging up is that they may or may not, this is a recording, but they need to change the credentials to be specific, environment specific. So I'd like to do that before I connect the dev and staging clusters. So just, yeah, that seems like a minimum bar for security. Moving on, we've got fixed spec violations in the metric chart spec. I don't believe Lorenz is on the call, so we can just move on unless anyone has any context here. And then update chart visualization to fill the panel container, which is assigned to Jan, which the MR is to fix is ready and it's been merged. So we just need to wait for the GitLab UI package version to be bumped, which has also been merged. So this should probably be in verification, but I'll follow up with Jan on that. The other two issues have been just recently moved to in review. So I think we can move on to verification, which is handle if the dashboard is not available with a 404 solution. See if there's anything to do here. Doesn't look to be the case. So, all right. Looking at our bookmark for closed issues, we have panel titles should be truncated on small sizes, which means we are probably about 8 issues closed since then. And we have update the learner setup, so it actually publishes the packages. That looks like it's been closed. Add testing to the schemas. Anything you want to call out here, Max?
Not massively. Like we now have the basic sort of nuts and bolts to write schema specs for Cube. I haven't written a huge suite of tests since we're going to replace Jitsu soon, so I'm keen that we don't test specific SQL columns because we don't know if they're going to exist soon. Right. But once we've made that transition, then it should be relatively easy to add quite a few specs quite quickly, and they'll run on CI. So we'll any changes that we make to Cube schemas that will materially affect the output that customers see will be flagged up in CI now.
Nice. I don't know if you saw, Alan and I had made some updates to the dev kit as well to kind of separate that out from the main environment. So
much appreciated. Thanks for picking that up.
Yeah. Cool. Then we have a follow-up to add Cube.js to renovate bot. I think there's an update that Rob has put async, but I believe most, if not all, of the dependencies that we care about for product analytics are now added to renovate bot. So I think we'll get to that update in a sec. So other than that, we have the line chart, which does not fill the container height when set to auto. I'm going to assume now that the charts now, at least for the line chart, fill the entire container height, which is going to be nice for kind of a UX polish point of view. We've also removed the date range limit for the analytics dashboards, which we had set previously to 7 days and 30 days. So until we kind of start identifying performance issues or constraints that we actually need to implement, then we will do so accordingly. We've also got the product analytics dashboard listing with the new shared dashboards listing at the project level. So this is what I was referring to earlier. As far as the new dashboard listing, I believe that what comes after this is just making sure we can initiate the onboarding process from this new area. So I know that was a lot of merge requests and refactoring and rebasing from a lot of people. So I'm glad we got that in. Apart from that, I have the remaining 2 issues. Data persistence is now set up in the Jitsi Redis service, which will just help keep it more reliable until we replace it with Snowplow. And so far, everything's looking good as far as events still going to where they need to go. And then this one has just been closed out because we've opened new issues as far as anything that needs to be built for making sure that we read customer-built dashboards correctly, as well as making sure that we supply the pre-configured ones as well. So that wraps up our build board review, unless there's anything anyone else would like to call out. All right, then I need to add the bookmark, but I'll do that after. I just wanted to call out the 1511 planning issue. I know some of the team has been asking about kind of what to pull on next. And so while James, Sam, and I are working to kind of finalize that, there are kind of some top priorities there that some people have already been pulling in. So as we wrap up this current milestone, feel free to take a look at that. At the same time, I will ping everyone who hasn't added their capacity, just so we have awareness about how much capacity we're going to have for 1511 before we wrap up our final 15.x release. Is that correct? We're going to 16.0 after 1511, right?
Yeah. Correct. Okay. Yeah, 1512 this time.
Exciting. So you got any ideas for breaking changes? Now's the time to throw them in there. Just kidding, we're alpha anyways. All right. Wow, this is going to be just me talking unless anyone would like to vocalize the show and tell points. I'll just hold for a few seconds there while I drink some liquids.
I'm happy to do it if you want, Dennis.
Thank you, Max.
So yeah, Rob, who's not on the call, first of all, the migration to shared dashboard listing is now complete. The optimized group have been informed, so they can work on bringing it to the group level. And the next sort of stage, my understanding of this process is that there was a lot of separate MRs. So moving the onboarding process to the new listing. And also from Rob, all front-end team members are now assigned by the Renovate bot to version bump MRs for Cube.js and GridStack NPM package changes, so we can keep the libraries up to date without doing all the initial legwork. The second point on that, I'll be honest, didn't make a lot of sense to me. So if someone would like to explain to me what the Renovate bot does at some point, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, it checks, it's a pipeline you can run or script externally you can run where it checks your repository's current versions of the dependencies you're using, and we'll compare them to what's currently released. So especially for things like security updates, like 0 days and things like that, but of course, just being able to get bug fixes and improvements without us having to manually check it. That's what Renovate bot's for.
Sweet. Well, there we go. I learned something new.
Great.
Any final topics that anyone's got?
And I think we're good. 17 minutes back for everyone. Good to see everyone. Have a good rest of your week. Take care.
Yes.